it's just as Fuller would describe, you just build a new model that people see the merit of, and you assume rationally that these older institutions will see the logic, and then they'll move and change and transition. But here's one thing I'd like to say.
That's what we would like to see.
Sure, but one of the problems, and this is something that I think isn't addressed much with people that talk about the state of advancing technology, from the Singularity Institute to a number of other progressive institutions out there, they don't seem to understand that this market phenomenon preserves scarcity. It preserves institutions. It has an interest, it has a very core survival reaction, I would say, that doesn't want anything to threaten what has been pre-established.
Yeah, well, that's an old, that's the ancien regime, they call it in France, you know,
And people look at that, they say, oh, that's just a power neuroses. But it is a power neuroses, but it's constantly reinforced by the acquisition of money and the entire process that underlies market capitalism. So the reason I bring that up is because the movement isn't just about the advocation of all these possibilities that Fuller and others have put forward. It's the recognition that the current model is extremely inhibiting. And it's gonna fight this type of progress. And I'll make one more point in a value system sort of disorder that is amalgamated. I mean, we can all talk about materialism. We have a whole subculture that values themselves based on what they own. You know, there are so many people out there, and that's old news. It
is. I think it's been in existence from Rome to dynastic states to early America, and
the fashion element, but it's gotten much worse. We have a consumption society. Where you might remember in the early 20th century, the mid 20th century, post the Great Depression in America, there's been a number of books written on this. There's a man named Edward Bernays, for example, who was a propagandist.
He was a PR guy. He was the head of PR.
And he's heavily credited with turning America into a consumer culture. One of many, where he said, for example, before World War II, we consumed half per capita resources.
The United States, you mean?
In the Western world by extrapolation. Than we do now. Now, what does that mean? It means that we're becoming less satisfied. It means that we demand more for some reason. We have no recognition of the environmental relationship. We have no recognition of such synergies. We want more and more. And this, my main point is that this neuroses has come forward, and it's absolutely prolific in 20th century economic writings, where this idea of infinite wants. Have you ever heard that phrase being used?
Well, I have. I can see where it could be used as that. It would be part of a thing of saying it's ipso facto absurd to think there could be enough, because our wants are, you know, until you've got a swimming pool full of diamonds of the highest order, you're not
exactly.
That's an absurd obsession.
And that is a core staple of economic philosophy amongst almost every school.
And it underscores all of our political and economic rationales by which the planet operates currently.
And justifies the homelessness, justifies the third world living in a dilapidated environment. It justifies the imbalance. And the way
it's also a mark of great insecurity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole point of this consumeristic culture that was put forward.